When it comes to learning more about white sharks, there's no better person to ask than shark expert Dr. Greg Skomal. For the last 10 years, he's been on the front lines, tagging and monitoring these mysterious apex predators. And now he's sharing his research with the public.
Well, today I'm in Nantucket. I'm giving a talk about the research we've been doing the last several years on the white sharks off of Massachusetts, as well as the research we're initiating this summer, and get an update of how the summer's been going.
The Nantucket Historical Association collaborated with Dr. Skomal and the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy to bring Skomal's public talk, Living with White Sharks, to the Whaling Museum. It was a timely invitation.
Just this past week, there was a sighting on the south shore of Nantucket. I don't know if it's confirmed or not. However, it's very timely that he is here. And it's in the news all the time. And you don't want to live in fear, you want to live in knowledge. So it's good for us to understand from his perspective who these creatures really are and how we can cohabitate with them.
In 2018, Skomal and his team completed the field component of a population study, but those findings are not yet ready for the public.
We're still poring over data, we're running models, we're identifying individual sharks, which is incredibly time-consuming. And so the public is clamoring, the media is clamoring for our population estimates, but they are not done yet. And I'm asking everyone to be patient.
The next study will investigate the feeding behaviors of great whites, with a special emphasis on public safety.
What we've been doing the last 10 years is taking a broader look at the movement ecology of the white shark, trying to get a snapshot, multiple snapshots of when they're around Cape Cod, where they spend their time. And I think we've done a pretty good job of pinning down seasonality and pinning down on a relative scale where the sharks are. And we've shared a lot of that with the public. What we're doing now over the next several years is drilling deeper into the fine-scale behavior of these animals, particularly as it relates to their prey. We know that white sharks and seals are interacting very close to shore. This is a classic predator-prey relationship. It's been described in many parts of the world, but not in Cape Cod. So we want to get a better sense of where, when, and how white sharks attack and kill seals.
But capturing these behaviors will be tricky.
If we can catch them in the act, killing and eating seals, then we've got data points. And we've done that. We've seen maybe a dozen predatory strikes on seals, but most of the time we see it after the seal has been bitten. So we know where and when it's happening. But that's not enough to really fully understand this dynamic. So what we're doing is we're using more sophisticated technology.
In the last 10 years, Skomal and his team have tagged more than 170 white sharks using traditional tagging devices. Improved technologies will make it possible to learn even more about the behaviors of the white shark, and even possibly teach us how to avoid unwanted interactions with them.
We're putting camera systems built into what we call accelerometer tags. And accelerometer tags are basically record every second how that animal is moving. So we'll know if it's zigging, zagging, swimming, accelerating, just relaxing. We'll have a sense of its activity patterns. And if we get a sense of its patterns of activity, we can start to tease out when it's feeding. So if we know when it's feeding and we know where it's feeding, and then we get a sense from the cameras on the tags how it's feeding, we can start to pick out where hot spots might be around Cape Cod, or hot times of day where we want people to avoid being in the water. We get a lot of questions about when shouldn't we swim, where shouldn't we swim? And not a lot of people know. We don't know. And so we want to get a better sense of the dynamics of activity patterns.
In the meantime, Dr. Skomal has a few shark safety tips for those in the water.
When we talk about the probability of shark attacks, we're talking about an extremely low probability. Nonetheless, I understand people's fear. And so what I'm advising folks is if you're in an area where these sharks are attacking and killing seals, and that's basically along the entire outer Cape, you want to limit the depth to which you go. You want to be aware of your surroundings in terms of the beaches that you are going to, and know the topography of those beaches, know where your deep channels are, where your sandbars are, because if you can go into water that is, over your head, so can a shark. And so, let's face it, the sharks are hunting incredibly close to shore, and if you really want to avoid, being confused as a seal, then you want to stay in shallow water.
Dr. Greg Skomal and the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy will continue to tag and document great white sharks off Cape Cod through October. In Nantucket, for Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rosson.